Well, unfortunately, Loki has returned for its second season. It decided to come back for another stab at destroying the MCU even further, or what's left of it at this point, just as they did in their very first season, which I feel the need to remind people because it's not a memorable show. We had things like the destruction of Loki, where they plucked him from the timeline just a few days after he literally gouged a man's eye out. They decided, oh, well, we want the good version of Loki, so we're going to have him watch some videos of things he didn't experience, and that is somehow going to make him a changed man. We had things like, oh, there was no free will until this series, which is probably one of the worst things you can do to your universe, considering now, when we look at the MCU, when we look in the past to things like Civil War, when characters made decisions based on, whatever values they hold. They actually didn't do it because of that. They did it because Kang deemed it so. So we introduced that. We decided, oh, we're going to make all the stuff that happened absolutely pointless. We did things like, oh, we're going to make the entire Infinity Saga, all these movies aiming at the goal of, we got to get these Infinity Stones. Oh, we just have them as paperweights in the TVA. And you'll remember that Black Widow lost her life to get one of those, and they decided to just go, oh yeah, those things you spent all those movies trying to get to. Oh yeah, we've just got them here as paperweights. We're just going to have a little jokey joke. So that's really the main things it did, aside from all the other time travel, timeline bullshit, which is more of what we get in this season. That's basically what we're doing. It's just time travel stuff that doesn't make any fucking sense and makes you wonder, is it even worth trying to make sense of? So that's what we're dealing with in this very first episode of season 2. What a surprise. What a surprise that we're just delving into more utter nonsense rather than just go, we're going to have a time travel mechanic, right? And we're going to keep it very simple and very limiting. They didn't go for that one. They said, let's make it as complex as possible, even though we're not good enough to fucking do it. That was the decisions that they made. Michael Waldron, of course, you'll remember him from Loki Season 1 and Multiverse of Madness, the worst Marvel movie out there. He's not on this season. Instead, what we've got... Do you know what we've got, people? We got another Rick and Morty writer, because that's worked out so well in the past. I don't think I have to remind people of also not just Michael Waldron, but also Jeff Loveness, who was also a Rick and Morty writer, who done Ant-Man 3. That was utter shite. And we also had another Rick and Morty writer that did She-Hulk, and that was unfunny trash. So they've decided what we'll do is we'll get another Rick and Morty writer onto this season, and things will pan out just as we want. Of course, that hasn't happened because we have time travel bullshit. Doesn't make any sense. And again, they try and make a joke of it as if that fixes things. They try and go, oh, there's no flaw in that logic. We're going to have a character say that. Therefore, that makes it makes sense. I don't know. So they do a lot of that. A lot of the, oh, what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to not make any sense. So they do a lot of that rather than just, admitting, oh, we're not very good at our jobs. So that is what we're dealing with in this first episode, which is why we might as well get into it. Try and get through it as quickly as possible. I don't want to get bogged down in too much of the time travel because it's impossible to wrap your head around. So it makes you wonder, what the fuck is the point in this? Half the time watching the episode, you're kind of like, what are you saying now? So there's going to be a lot of that. I would say maybe we'll get through it and understand it. There's no chance of that because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So we start out, of course, in the TVA. You'll remember them from season 1. They're the bad guys. They are genocidal maniacs that don't realise they're genocidal maniacs by, oh, you decided to go for a coffee before work. Therefore, we're going to exterminate your entire timeline. So they're the bad guys in this. We know that. So that's where we are. And you'll probably notice, oh, there's Kang statues about. What's going on here? Well, that's because Loki is in the past. He's in the past TVA, which we come to learn soon enough. They, for some reason, feel the need to make it abundantly clear, even though it's pretty obvious. It's like, things are different here. What could it... Well, he's in the past or the future. Could be either one. But they, again, we get, oh, no, look at this. You need to look at this and understand it, you fucking idiots. So we get some of that hand-holding, but Loki's being chased away because this is in the past, and Mobius is like, I don't know who you are. So he's being chased. Loki, we don't get an end to Loki's pussiness, where he's just like, Mobius, it's me. No, nothing resembles Loki. I really don't know what they were thinking with going this route with Loki. When it's like you could have a bit of both. Maybe he's got some good qualities about him now, but he's still up to his old trickery. He could do stuff like that, but instead he's this Weasley little guy that is no threat whatsoever. He's running away from these agents, even though he has magical abilities. Well, I suppose he can't use them here, but it's like, oh, he's not even... It's like Loki could easily take on all these people, easily. And he's like, no, I'm going to run away. Okay. So that's what he's doing, but he's like, Mobius, it's me, don't you recognize me? And then he decides to, right, they're not listening to me, so I'm just going to dive, if we can actually see it. I'm just going to dive in some really bad editing. As you'll see, he runs that way, and somehow ends up over there. Okay, so he's just jumped over. He doesn't know what the fuck's down there, so he could easily just land on the ground, and then it's like, all right, well, I'm fucked now. But instead, of course, with it being current MCU, it's just a load of contrivant bullshit, or convenient bullshit, rather. Where, of course, he lands in this flying truck, and then he just so happens to land in the room that causes a crack. So then when he transports back to the present, it leaves a crack on the floor, and it's like, oh, that happened in the past. And they try to make it really abundantly clear when it's like, oh, well, it's obvious. You don't need to go that far with it. So he lands in the room, and he recognizes whatever his name is, and he's like, I don't know who you are. So that thing dropping causes a big crack. And Loki then, I don't know, it's like something out of Harry Potter when they do the fucking thing in that. So he transports back to the present, and he's got that guy looking at him again, and he's like trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. And he's like, just a second, you didn't know me. And then he asks Casey, oh, how long has this crack been here? And Casey's like, oh, well, it's been there ever since I remember. Even though he should remember it, considering he was in the room when it happened. So he should be, oh, well, yeah, you like flew in the window and the big ball dropped. None of that gets said because we're all also introducing, oh, Kang memory wiped everyone. Except one person that we need so the plot can continue. So that's what they're introducing now. I don't really understand that. Kang memory wiped everyone to not know who he was, but would that not also that would also cause a bit of quite a few problems in the sense of, right, well, now no one knows what their fucking job is. They're like completely memory wiped. But apparently it happens all the time. That apparently Kang did this quite a lot. Or at least that's the conclusion Loki eventually comes to, but we're not quite at that revelation, but it's probably worth pointing out now. So that's what they're going with. Oh, you're all memory wiped within that time period of me being in the past and being transported back to the present. But again, it's like everyone's been memory wiped except one guy. One guy didn't get memory wiped for some reason. Either Kang forgot, or it's, as I say, it's simply, well, if this guy has had his memory wiped, then our plot can't continue. So, just this one person conveniently hasn't had it done to him. But I suppose we'll get more into that a bit later. So we've then got Mobius and Fat Cop, and she's like, we need to tell the TVA the truth about this place. About we're actually genociding entire timelines. We need to tell them this. Mobius is like, how can we possibly tell them the truth about this? How can we say, what you've been doing is wrong and your God is a lie or things like that? It's like, Mobius, I don't give a fuck. You've been genociding entire timelines. You are the villains in this. You are complicit with Kang. So I don't know what we're supposed to care about here. It's like, fuck the people of the TVA. They're murderers. They don't. And it's not as if, oh, well, yeah, but Kang made them. It's like, they should know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. If you are wiping out timelines, you should know, oh yeah, we're just genociding people, and we're choosing what their lives should be. How you don't come to the realization that you are the bad guys in this, I don't know. So it shouldn't even be for Mobius to tell them that it's like, it shouldn't even be anything really. They should be like, yeah, we know, which just makes it worse. But that is the corner they've painted themselves in, unfortunately. So that's when, because Loki just talked to this guy and then he evaporated again, back to the past. This guy comes along, he's like, oh, Mobius, Loki was just here, and then he disappeared. He doesn't think to mention the way Loki came into the room, like his whole body, I don't know what just kind of twisting and all that. He doesn't really mention that. And then this Hunter, X5 guy, he turns up and starts talking about a load of bollocks that goes nowhere. So it's like, why? What was the point in that? He starts looking at, you'll remember from the first season, Mobius has like a magazine of jet skis. He wants to go on a jet ski one day. So this guy shows up, he's looking at it, and he's like, why do you, what's the word he says? Let me just see whereabouts. Yeah, he just asks about jet skis, and like, are these jet skis on the sacred timeline? He's like, oh, it looks fun. Is one of these calling your name, Mobius? So Mobius is like, oh, it's not much of a calling. It's more like a whispering. Come and take us a spin. And he goes on to start talking about facts about jet skis. He's like, the thing about jet skis that people don't understand, I'm kind of like, why the fuck are we doing this at the moment? Is this going somewhere? The answer to that is no, it's not going anywhere. So Mobius is like, yeah, the thing about jet skis, it's actually a brand. And just like this guy, I'm like, yeah, I don't care. And that's what this guy says. Oh, yeah, I don't care. So why did you ask? And that's the same thing Mobius says. Why the fuck did you ask that? And then he starts saying, with Renslayer missing, there's a new judges' council. So General Dox and Judge Gamble would like you in the war room. Right. So what was the stuff about a jet ski? What was that supposed to be about? None of that followed. It's like, oh, tell me about these jet skis, Mobius. Oh, by the way, with Renslayer missing, you're wanted in the war room. It's like, what the fuck was that? Just put a pointless waste of time. You could have just walked up and said, hey, Mobius, you're wanted in the war room. You could be very efficient in that way, but we got to have jokey joke time. There's a lot of that. We get a lot of jokes. None of them land for some reason. I don't know why. Just none of it's funny whatsoever. So it's like, just tell the fucking story, will you? So he's got to go off to the war room, and then Loki, so you can kind of see how he comes back into the room like that, his whole body talking and twisting. And then he's like, oh, Mobius, where is he? And he's like, oh, they're going to the war room. So they're going in to talk with our judge and our general. And then, well, Loki is now transported back to the past again. So he comes in and he goes, what the fuck's going on here? So the implication is that Kang has covered all this up. Originally, when he started the TVA, he had all these faces, or maybe this was a place the entire Council of Kangs ran. Maybe that's what it is. until the one single Kang took over. You know, maybe that's what it is. But they're showing this to make it so this is in the present, and that's now covered up with now the time fucking lizards. Because that's what we did last season. There was some robot time lizards. Honestly, some of this shite that they come up with. So that's what's going on here. So the implication is that everyone's been memory wiped, and that's something that is brought up soon enough. But first, there's like they come in here. There's a robot lizard's head on the table. Okay. There's by the way, there's one guy just sleeping here. Okay. Well, again, that's because as we learned in the previous season, the TVA is utterly incompetent. So that's why there's just this guy that is supposedly high up. He's just sleeping over there. Right. Okay. Our other two, we've got some girl bosses here, of course, because why not? So as they go in the room, these generals and judges are listening to Loki. It's like a recording of Loki talking about, you're all variants. That Kang has taken variants and used them to make the TVA work. Even though, as we went over in the previous episode, the idea that the TVA can handle billions and billions of different possibilities and different timelines across an entire universe, multiverse, is impossible. They haven't got enough staff for that. It doesn't work. But that's kind of what they did. So they're listening to that. You're all variants. And then they start asking them, right, why did you order people to stop pruning the branching timelines? And she's just like, we need a moment to explain. Let me just catch up to see where we are. She's like, we'll explain, and then the woman's like, well, make it make sense. Of course, they don't make it make sense. None of it makes sense. Nothing makes sense in this show. And they feel the need to point that out many times because they think they can get away with it by poking fun at it. When it's just like, nah, you just be shit. So we keep going back in here. Loki starts listening to a recording of Renslayer having a conversation with Kang. That is still a villain. I just give up on Kang. He's a boring villain. I'm not interested in a villain that got beaten by Ant-Man or got beaten by an army of ants. That's already done. And again, it's like the idea of, there's loads of them, so they keep coming back. They keep getting beaten, meaning none of them are actually a threat. So it's like, just give that up. Give that entire thing up now. That would be my advice. So that's what's going on there. He's just like, thank you for being on my team. And then we go back to them. And for some reason, Mobius isn't the one talking. It's like Mobius is higher up than this. This woman's she's just, your average Joe, agent. Yet she's doing all the talking. I don't know why. It's very, very strange. So she's just like, don't you understand? We're all variants. We all used to have different lives. And then the judge is like, this agent can corroborate that Renslayer had another life. So it's definitely true that we're all variants. We know that now. We have all that knowledge. So then we get to... So they're like... I don't know. They're like Mobius is like... Look, we've got to admit that, we've stopped pruning branches and everything's fine. Because now the branches are moving naturally, as they should, before the TVA decided to come in and genocide entire timelines. So that's a good thing. This guy, he's like, can't you see the robot head on the table? Things are not fine. This changes everything. It's like, it changes everything for the TVA, but we're not actually facing danger here. We're facing a good thing, that now people can live whatever lives they want. And we're not going to come in and go, you can't stop for a coffee before work. You're supposed to be at work. We're now going to genocide you because of that. So where do we go now? So you still got this guy. I guess they're doing it for comedy, everyone. Look how fun it is. There's a guy sleeping in a chair in the war room, and nobody's saying anything. Nobody's like, hey, Davis, will you wake your fat ass up? No one's doing that. They're just like, nah, just leave him there. Even though he should be listening. But we're not doing that, so we're essentially going on, we're not gonna... yeah, well, you get Lady Aaron, because that's who's in this show now. We just go to her. If we can come across her. I don't know where she is. So there she is there, Lady Aaron, you remember from Game of Thrones. She was pushed through the moon door by Lord Peter fucking what's his name? Littlefinger. You've also got this woman here, she's the judge. Lady Aaron is now a general. So the general is like, if we can't prune branches and protect the timeline, because that's what they believe they were doing, protecting the timeline, it never occurred to them, oh yeah, we're killing a load of people. So she's like, what are you suggesting we do? The judge has full of more authority than the general, so the judge is like, we're gonna stop this then. Because you know what I've been doing? I've been given the guilty verdict all my life. Remember that from season 1? Where what they did, they plucked variants from the timeline. They had an entire trial where every time the person in question was found guilty, which therefore we don't need to have a fucking trial for. That was another one of the stupidest things of season 1. That every person was found guilty, but they felt the need to hold a trial. It's like, well, you're not going to find them innocent. You only have one path. So it's like, bring them in and just instantly prune them. But instead they go, nah, we've got to go through all the paperwork first. We can't just turn up and prune them. We've got to bring you in, put you in a trial that you're going to be found guilty for anyway. Making it utterly pointless. And she, she didn't recognize this, that, oh, what I'm doing's fucking useless. We could spend better time. Time would be better spent on other things. But no. So that was more stupidity we had from the first season. Yeah, they're just like, the TVA needs to change. It's like, just dismantle. You don't need the TVA are not needed. They are not necessary for anything. So it's just like, what are you going to change to? If you're letting the branches just, like leaving them alone now, what are you doing? What is your purpose? You have no purpose after this, so you might as well just dissolve the TVA. But no, they got to change. We got to keep the TVA because apparently they're going to be in Deadpool 3. Can't wait for that. So Loki turns up. He's back. And he decides to, he tells Mobius, oh, we met the man at the end of time, like talking about Kang. Loki grabs a thing and then uses the time stick, and that reveals these other faces, and everyone's like, what the fuck is that? We've never seen that before. We never knew that was there before. So again, the implication is they've had their memories wiped. So that's why they don't recognize it. So they're all like, what the fuck is that? The general wants to go after Sylvie because she might have information or something. So that's what she's going to go off to do, but that happens at the end of the episode anyway. So they're like, they're just going over what we've already seen in season 1. So it's just about the guard dog, the big pink smoke or purple smoke that they had to beat. So this is where we find out. We got to the man at the end of the... and then Loki starts going on this tangent about, Sylvie was convinced that Kang was the devil. But what if he wasn't? What he was doing was actually good? It's like, Loki, he was genociding a load of people. I would understand this, Loki, if you were still Loki, but you're not. You're the, cowardly Loki. You're supposed to be this good version of Loki, and it's like, maybe maybe that person that was genociding everybody, maybe they were actually good. What are you even talking about? But the thing he seems to be going for is, oh, well, like, Kang was stopping the other Kangs. It's like, yeah, Kang didn't have to, because Loki's like, oh, that was the only way. That was his only choice. He had to genocide everybody to stop the Kangs coming. He didn't think, what I'll do is, when the Kangs appear, I'll put a time door underneath them, transport them here, and then send them off to the void. He didn't think to do that. He didn't think, oh, well, what I'll do is I'll just kill them. No, he decided, no, my only choice here is to be a genocidal maniac. That's my only choice here. I have no other choices. No, you do. You have many, many choices. Especially with the MCU, that now we don't have any fucking rules anyway. So it's like you can just magic them away and don't explain it. But Loki's convinced, oh no, he was stopping more violence. He was stopping more violence by genociding everybody. Do the writers listen to themselves when they write this shit on a bit of paper? Do they ever think about it? No. So yeah, he's just like, we fought, and then they, they reminisce about the times they got beaten by women. Okay. That's apparently what they're doing now. So, Loki's pointing at all these guys. It's like, that's what's on its way. That is what's on its way. It's like, Loki, did you see Ant-Man 3? Did you see where this Kang, this fucking big threat, did you see where he got beaten by big ants and then got beaten by Ant-Man? I don't know what you're worried about, really. There's no, possible way that Kang is really a threat, considering what we've seen from him so far. That's why, at this point, again, just drop the entire storyline. Just drop Kang, move on to another villain, a more interesting villain, or maybe don't, because you're only going to ruin them anyway. You're kind of stuck. You're kind of stuck. So, yeah, he's just going on, there was no, he's preventing a war. There was no simple choice, no other way. No, there was. There was, for the magic man that controlled the timeline. There was many choices. He decided to go, now we've got to exterminate everyone. So, right, what gets said here? I better, because, yes, this is where we're kind of getting into the memory wipe stuff, because Loki is like, we met he who remains is what they call him. Okay, he's like, Kang built this place, and Mobius is like, how do I not remember this then? And Loki says, oh well, because he wiped your memories, maybe more than once. And it's just like, why would Kang do that? Because if you set the TVA up when they know who Kang is, like from the very start, the only way to memory wipe them is you have to memory wipe them from the very start of the TVA. So it's kind of like, right, so that means everybody is going to have to relearn everything, and if you're doing that multiple times, they're going to have to continue to keep relearning things, meaning you're not really getting anywhere, Kang. So it's like, why is he doing this? Why did he go, we're gonna let them know about me, and then suddenly, let them think that it's these time lizards that are in charge? Right, okay. Again, it's only really, the only thing I can think of is if this place originally was controlled by the Council of Kangs, because that's what we're doing. Because we've got Rick and Morty writers, that's why we're doing that, the Council of Ricks. So that's what's going on. Loki then explains about, why he's like, just evaporating, then returning. Loki says, oh, I was in the past. And Mobius says, no, there is no past TVA, when it's like, no, there literally is, because you have events moving forward. So that means there is a past, Mobius. So I don't know where you're getting that from, That, oh no, there's no past in the TVA, even though, oh yeah, that thing happened just a few minutes ago. That means there's a fucking past. But, again, who the fuck knows anymore? It's just a joke. So then they start doing a jokey joke about, oh, how does it look? How does it feel when you evaporate, Loki? It looks very, very horrible. So they talk about that. So they got to figure out, right, how are we going to stop this thing happening to you, Loki? So they're like, right, we got to go down to repairs and advancement. We've got to go down there. Maybe this guy can sort something out. So they go down into this place, and that's when we meet Short Round. He comes on into the scene. He's like, I was in Indiana Jones. I was in the Goonies. Now I'm fucking doing this shit. So that's what he's very upset at the fact that he's in this fucking shit show. I do feel sorry for him. At least he's got charisma. That's one thing you got to give him. It's just, again, it's like none of this show fucking makes sense, so it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter if you have Tom Hiddleston giving his best. It's like just the script isn't there. So it's like, what are you going to do? So Mobius comes in, and it's like, they're trying to show that, oh, this OB or Ouroboros, this OB, he hasn't had his memory wiped, because what did Kang forget? Is that what happened, or is it, oh shit, we've wrote ourselves into this corner that everybody's been mind wiped, so that means when Loki starts talking to OB in the past, when Loki comes back to the present, this OB isn't going to remember, because within that time span, Kang is going to mind wipe everyone. So they just thought, oh well, it didn't happen to this guy then, because we need things to continue. So they're making it obvious, all right, so this guy hasn't had his memory wiped. Mobius is like talking about, I remember seeing you and then he gets his sentence completed 400 years ago. That's the last time Mobius seen OB. And Mobius is trying to say, oh yeah, I came down, and then OB's like, no, you came down, and then I told you you're in the wrong place, and you instantly left. So Mobius isn't remembering. He seems to half remember though. So did Kang. Did Kang actually do a good job at the memory wipe or not? I don't know. I'm confused. So and also we get the OB, like that's his nickname. That was given to him by Mobius, even though they met once. So I don't know how that happened. But then again, it just becomes confusing, because then Loki goes back to the past and talks to OB and gives him like the OB nickname. So it's like, what? So this guy, so what? How is that working? If it's Mobius that gave him I don't know. It's just a confusing, garbled mess. It's like, fucking hell, just sit down and think about it, will you writers? Just think about it. Just think it through. But I don't think they got the intellect for that. So that's why I would say, fuck off with your time travel. I hate it. I despise time travel now, because it's always done badly. Like, in recent times. Every time it's like, oh, that didn't make any fucking sense. But they keep doing time travel, because they think, oh, that's cool and new. It's like, no. Again, it'd be better if they just did it like Back to the Future, and just had very, very basic and simple rules, and then just build around that. But instead it's like, no, we've got to make it the main focus, and make it as complicated as fucking possible. Because we desperately want to piss everybody off. So OB says, hold on a minute, I've got to go and, I don't know, do some work. He's like, I can't, if I take a break, all hell breaks loose, so I can't sleep forever. So this guy is that why he hasn't had his memory wiped? Because can Kang only do it when they're asleep? Is that it? But apparently this guy has been awake for 400 years. How does that make any sense? I don't know. I don't know. Just, don't think about it. That's basically the writer's defense of this show is, oh, don't think about it. So Mobius continues to misremember things, and then that's when Loki disappears again, and Obi knows exactly what it is. He says, "Oh, time slipping," but you can't do that in the TVA. And Mobius is like, "Yeah, but it just happened." And he's like, "Yeah, but it can't happen in TVA. No, it just fucking happened." But we're spending time on a shit joke again. So he's just like, "Oh well, if it just happened now, I'm finding trouble reconciling that." And then they repeat the same joke in the next scene. Great. So yeah, so Loki is now in the past. I don't know how many years, but he's in the past, and he's like OB, and then he doesn't know that name, so he's like, "Oh, OB, that could be a good nickname for me." Yeah, but I thought Mobius gave it to you, so I can only assume. Oh, so Loki is in the past before Mobius stumbled down here and gave him the nickname. I guess. I don't know. I do not know. So then he's like, "Oh, I was just in the future talking to you. I'm doing this time slipping thing." And then that guy, and then Obi's like, "Oh, yeah, but you can't do that in the TVA." And like Loki's says, "Oh yeah, but I just did it." In theory, if you could do this, and Obi's like, "Oh no, you can't do that in the TVA." It's like, no, he just fucking did it. I don't know what you're missing here. So it's just like we're gonna repeat the joke twice. It's not very funny, and it's gonna go on for way too long. Instead of just getting to the fucking point. So we start, jumping between past and present, and when we jump back to the present, Obi's like, I don't know what we can do about this. And then he remembers something. He remembers, oh no, there was this one time your friend Loki visited me complaining about time slipping. It's like, why did you already remember that anyway? I don't know what the weight was. It's like really, as soon as Loki goes back, it's like you should already remember that. I don't know why you just have a brand new memory. Again, I don't know how the time travel's working. I don't know if, generally, is it a time loop? As Loki, I don't fucking know. I don't know. I don't understand it. And that's why you keep your time travel basic. That's what you should be doing, unless you have a lot of talent, but we don't have that in the MCU anymore. I suppose the only talent you get out of the MCU now is the actors. That's it. And even they are starting to dwindle, where you're left with like Simu Liu or something. So then he's like, right, so what can I do about this? And he says, oh, you need, what do they call it? You need a temporal fucking whatever they call it. A temporal, like we get a load of new stuff in this episode. I can't see where the fuck it is. I did write it down. Time slipping, right, we went over that. There's too much stuff to even remember, but it's some temporal extractor, I think they call it. We'll eventually find out what it is. Yeah, there it is, temporal aura extractor. I don't know what the fuck that is, but okay. So he's now made one, and Loki says, all right, can you hang on to that? And then in the future, can you give that to Mobius? Can you give that to my friend Mobius? So then we go back to the present. And then, like, Obi's like, oh, I haven't got anything to, you need this, but I haven't got one. And then he goes, oh, no, wait, I have got one. And it's, like, right beside him. So I'm not sure if that was already there or it suddenly appeared. I don't know. I didn't hear some bloop, like it just turns up. So he should have already remembered that, really, but no. So he's got what he needs. And then what happens is, I don't think I've ever seen it as bad as this. When we have, someone says a line of dialogue and then a character repeats it right back to him, where we get that and it's word for word. So you get Mobius asking how to use it, and Obi says, You need to get to the temporal loom. Don't know what that is. An extractor, and the extractor can pull Loki out of the time stream. So then Mobius says, I need to get to the temporal loom, and the extractor can pull Loki out of the time stream. So, like, word for word, you just repeated the same piece of dialogue. Wasting time again, it seems like. So that's what they've got to do. They've got to get to this temporal loom, whatever that is. And then Mobius has got to go out there with the extractor and then pull Loki out of the time stream. And the downside to that is when like Mobius goes out in this, like what we'll soon see, his skin will peel off, meaning he'll age. So that's the downside to going out here. So that's when Loki turns up back to the future. Yeah, here we are. They have a jokey joke about, Loki's like, I've got to rip myself from every thread of time. It's like all he's got to do is use a time stick. That's it. Apparently the time stick releases you from time when you hit yourself with it. So that's what he's got to do. So it's not really that bad. So then they're asking what, there's been all these power surges. He's like, I bet what's causing these power surges is all these new branches in the timeline going. And that's what's also causing your time slipping, Loki. So they start walking down this big long fucking thing. Okay, a lot of walking there. And now we've somehow frozen. Right, there we go. So you have so Mobius breaks something off this thing, and he says, "Oh, something just broke off of this. Is it important?" Nobody answers him, so it's like, "Oh, is it broken then?" It's like you got to go out there and risk your life. You may want to make sure it's not broken, but it's just again, it's another joke that gets thrown in, and it's like, yeah, but you've still got to sort that out. Because now it's just like you're going in there with this broken part and no one's going to address it. It's just going to be, oh no, it's just a joke. So there's all this rumbling going in. They go on. Apparently this is the X-Men doors. Oh, it's an X-Men Easter egg. People like them for some reason. I don't know why. I don't really know why. Especially in a heap of shit show. So he's like, the temporal loom is the heart of the TVA. It's where raw time is refined into a physical timeline. And it's not constructed to weave together so many new branches. Yeah, but it's like, which, I don't understand. It's like, all these branches, all these different timelines, they were there before you existed. So it's like, you would have had to shove this amount through that little bit there. You would have had to have done that. So he's like, it's a disaster, just like this show I'm in. They're looking at that, and again, so now it's like, oh right, so what you need to do is you need to destroy this little construct that is weaving them in here. You need to destroy that, but they treat it as though, oh no, we can't do that. OB's like, what I need to do, I need to bring down the blaster shields that are, at the front of this window until I can come up with a way to fix it or to make it bigger, rather than going, oh, I just take it apart. That way, the timelines will move as they naturally did. No, it's like, now we've got to fix it rather than just destroy it. But okay, that's what they're doing. So yeah, he's like, so basically what they're trying to do is, so that means you've got a time limit, Loki, to pull yourself out of all these different threads through time, to pull yourself into the present. He's imposed that on himself by not just, just dismantle this thing or make it bigger or something like that. But it's like, at this point, you may as well, because it's like you're not pruning timelines anymore. So you might as well just get rid of this device. So he's like, once those doors close, but he gives him like this thing. He says, when the green light lights up, that means Mobius was successful in taking the temporal aura extractor outside and bringing you back in. You need to, as soon as you see that green light, you need to press the button, which will then pull you in, and then I need to close the blast doors so I can repair this thing rather than dismantling it. So that's what's got to happen. We then get a guy comes in saying, "Oh, General fucking Dockster, whatever her name is, she's raiding the armory." Loki goes to walk off. It's like, Loki, you can't fucking go anywhere. He's like, "Oh yeah, but they're gonna go and get Sylvie." Is it so? You're trying to sort your own situation out first, so maybe don't run off just yet. So Fat Cop, she decides to go and handle it. She's like, "I'll handle this, Mobius. Don't you worry about it. You just focus on this." I don't know why we're doing a load of freezing here. You just focus on this. So, of course, Loki disappears again. Inconveniently disappears. He's now, I assume, in the future, considering that, Mobius just done that. So I assume it's in the future. I guess it is. So he's like, "Oh shit, I haven't got a time stick." So now what he has to do, he has to run through the entire TVA for a time stick, because those aren't just everywhere. They're not everywhere in the TVA. Where are these time sticks? He has to run through the entire place. So that's what he's up to. We've then got, look at Mobius's stupid suit. Which, by the way, when he goes outside into this, whatever, he has to be quick about it. And they've decided, he's got this big fat suit. Right, why is that being used? Who knows? It's just, look at this suit. It's funny, isn't it? No, not really. So OB's like, "You need to hoof it down there." And he's like, "How am I supposed to hoof it in this suit?" Exactly. So why is this the design of it? Don't know. We need a joke. So he's like, if you're not quick enough, eventually what's out in this fucking temporal shit, that will age the suit, and then eventually it will age your skin. So it will just age you. That's what it will do. And then, then Mobius notices a big crack in in his space helmet, and OB just puts duct tape over it. It's like, there's another suit over there. Just take the helmet off that one and put the new helmet on, rather than go out of a crack. The duct tape will do you. But we need another joke that doesn't make any sense. So Mobius goes out there. He's like, "Right, I'm gonna go out and do this." Loki's going through looking for a time stick until he eventually comes across. He comes across what's her face? If we just get to her, there's like a phone ringing that he takes ages to pick up, and then he notices Sylvie. Sylvie comes out of the elevator. He's like, "I'm so in love with you, even though you're literally myself. So it's very, very, very fucking weird." But there you are. So he's got someone comes up behind him, and uses a time stick, and no, they don't ever talk about it. I'm just like, what happened there then? Because Loki didn't do that. Someone behind him did it. I don't know how that happened. It's never brought up again. So Mobius is out of time. He's told by OB, "You're out of time. You're gonna have to come in. I've got to close these blast doors." So Mobius was kind of like, "Oh, but give him more time." And then, what do you know? Just in the nick of time, even though the doors should have closed, Loki appears and then knocks Mobius back in before the blast doors close. So it's all just in the nick of time. It's like, if you just go through this and look at what the doors look like. So look, as you can see, the doors are already closing. We'll just go as close as we can to really show that, they should be shut by now. So he turns round. He looks around. It's like the rate of those you're not making those blast doors. Like, the blast doors should already be shut. But they don't shut, and Loki comes out and knocks him in. Okay, that's how that works. And then Lady Aaron, she's going through the time door. She's going to go and find Sylvie to figure out what's going on, or what they should be doing next. And she's like, "Oh, all this for Sylvie?" And then we come to the end of the first episode. And it took us 50 minutes because, of course, it did. Because, of course, it did. Fucking time travel shenanigans that doesn't make any sense. So, it's, again, it's like, you might as well not bother putting out the other episodes. It's already over. None of it makes any sense. I imagine it's going to have a significant drop of people watching from season 1, which is the only reason. This is the only show that got a season 2 because it got a little bit more viewership than the others. It wasn't even that, it had loads of people watching it. It just had a tad more than the other shows. That was it. So that's why we've got a season 2. And it's like, continuing a TV series based off the first season. It's like, why bother? You've already done so much damage with it and to the character. But we got to revive it. We got to bring back season 2 to make time travel and timelines and multiverse, make it more complicated, make it more make less sense. I mean, we every time we get time travel or multiverses, each project has different fucking rules that don't meet up with the other rules of the other shows or of the other films. So it's like, just stop with the fucking multiverse time travel shit. But they're not. We're going to get more of it. We're going to get more of it, unfortunately. But that is Loki Season 2, Episode 1. Another 5 episodes again. Again, we got 6 episodes. We haven't really done anything this episode except now Loki isn't jumping across time. That's it. That's all we've accomplished. And we made a right arse of it. So already it's like, it's not really, again, it's very, there's not that much going on other than, we've got to do these long jokes that aren't funny. So it's just like, stop it. Just stop it. But they don't. So that's kind of why we've got, a 39-minute episode without the credits. And it feels like, for some reason, it still feels like it goes on forever. It's just like, nothing's really happening, is it? It's just, we're saying things that don't make sense, and then we're going to act as though, if you think about it, it's actually good, because we're self-aware at how shit it is. That seems to be the cope from the writers of this season of Loki. I can't really predict what we're going to get in the next episode. My guess would be not much. Not much will happen. It would just be more nonsense.